So Kamala Harris announced that she has changed her mind and she is no longer running for governor of California. This was announced recently. So that's good news for people like Butch Ware. I'm pretty sure the Democratic Party will find another establishment tool to fill that slot. Now, that means one of two things. One, she is moving away from politics and she is going to consider other career options. Or two, Kamala Harris is not running for president, is not running for governor of California because she is considering running for president again in 2028. Let's get into it, ladies and gents. First and foremost, I want to get into the sabotage, the Biden story, how Biden, they're still pointing fingers at him, how he is a big part of the reason why Kamala Harris lost the presidential election, staying in the race too long, not really wanting to support her, but doing so anyway. The turmoil behind the scenes. I want to get into that a little bit because I've been doing some thinking. It almost seems like the Jake Tapper book and the other book that was written by three authors, the anti-Biden books that came out this year about what went on behind the scenes, etc., right? It almost feels like these publications are not just there to, of course, protect Kamala Harris from her loss, and not because she lost, but how she lost, the way that she lost, but also to possibly set her up for a 2028 presidential run. Let's get into it, folks.
Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. We do have some breaking news here about Kamala Harris as she has made a decision, at least about her immediate future, as she will not run for governor of California, her home state, in 2026. Of course, this reporting there from our Fox 2 team on the ground in California, Greg Lee, talking about this, posting the announcement she will not run for California governor in 2026 to replace Gavin Newsom. The former VP said she will, quote, be sharing more details in the months ahead about my own plans. In a statement on social media, I do want to read it out in full of what she did say here just a little bit ago within the last few moments, saying, over the past 6 months, I have spent time reflecting on this moment in our nation's history and the best way for me to continue fighting for the American people and advancing the values and ideals I hold dear. I'm a devout public servant, and from the earliest days of my career, I believed that the best way I could make a difference in people's lives and fight for a better future was to improve the system from within, and it has been a profound honor to do work and serve the people of California and our nation as a prosecutor, attorney general, U.S. senator, and vice president. In recent months, I have given serious thought to asking the people of California for the privilege to serve as their governor. I love this state, its people, and its promise. It is my home, but after deep reflection, I've decided that I will not run for governor in this election, certainly leaving the door open for future races, both in California and nationally, as this made announcement coming in just a little bit ago is Kamala Harris will not run for the governor of California next year, leaving the door open for another White House bid potentially in 2028. That field of Democrats could get crowded, as former vice.
Everybody heard that part there. Leaving the door open for 2028. And this is what I think is going to happen. I believe that Kamala Harris is stepping down from the California gubernatorial race because she is considering running for president once again in 2028. Now, Butch Ware, who is running for governor in California through the Green Party, said, bye, Felicia. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, Felicia, he said. Now, we'll get into this a little bit more here about the 2028 possibility. This is from a Democrat strategist. Listen to this.
Before we let you go, Kamala Harris says she will not run for California governor in 2026. Knowing you as you do, what do you make of this decision? And then what do you think this means for a potential re-presidential run in 2028?
Look, it was the right call. It was a good instinct because she lost 2 million votes from the 4 years earlier when President Biden won California, her home state. So she would have had, I think, some challenges to overcome, even among Democratic voters in California. I think it was the right call. I do think it means she's going to run. I fully expect her to run for president again. She's young. She's been sort of running and in political office her entire adult life. I don't expect her to sit the next election out, but I hope she's able to overcome some of her previous challenges, mainly.
Pause here. So you heard it here first, folks. It sounds like and this is what this was my initial thought, like when I heard the news that she wasn't going to run for California governor anymore, is that she's probably considering running in 2028 and running again. Now, I know some of you may sit back and you think to yourself, why would she do this to herself? This is insane. This is crazy, because she did not win any of the swing states in 2024. To me, it almost seems like Kamala Harris may take this as an opportunity to do an I told you so presidential campaign where she can go around to states. So she said she's going to be on the ground talking to the people. She can go around and tell people, I warned you guys. I told you that this was coming. You've had Donald Trump. Things would have been different if you would have voted for me. That's probably what she'll be able to use. She may not even have to have a robust platform. She could just run on, I told you Trump was going to be bad, and this is why you should vote for me this time around. That being said, though, Donald Trump won't be running again in 2028. Well, legally, he cannot be running again. So someone else will be running. So I don't know if that strategy would necessarily work for her. And I also still don't think that Kamala Harris would win. And listen, like, I know I'm relatively new to political media. I started the show in 2021, so I'm new to it compared to people who have been doing this for a very long time. But I did warn people last year that I did not think that Kamala Harris was going to win. And not only did I tell people I didn't think she was going to win, I told you I didn't think she was going to win any swing states. And it comes from just talking to people on the ground, because the reality is, as much as people might be upset with Donald Trump right now, he's not running in 2028. And so I still don't see that that would make her win. And I would feel differently if, let's say, maybe she had won the popular vote and lost the electoral college, but she didn't win either. So it's a steep climb. It's very steep, but I think that's the direction she's going in.
Communication, answering questions, taking declarative positions, and a degree of authenticity that only comes with accessibility, which unfortunately she was not.
Well, if she's looking for a Democrat consultant to help her with communications, I know a guy, his name, Michael LaRosa, and he got up for us early this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Now, I say this because when we look back, let's go to the very beginning part of this conversation. Everybody came out against Biden, right? Like, after Kamala lost, all these books came out and said, look at what Biden did behind the scenes and all of this stuff. It almost feels like I said, it almost felt like they were setting this up for Kamala Harris to be in a position to run again, this time in 2028. Because if you can convince the voting public that the reason why she lost, or that it was Biden who ruined this for all of her, then that would position her that could put her in a different position where maybe some people may say, oh, okay, it wasn't really her. Biden's the one that screwed up everything. Problem is, I don't think that's really going to work. I think the reality is that Kamala Harris is just not a strong candidate. I said the same thing in 2020. Now, I saw Kamala Harris speak in person in New Hampshire in 2020, and I saw it then. She's not a strong candidate. And so I don't know. They keep trying to make Kamala a thing. Maybe they're thinking third time the charm, because people forget she ran in 2020 as well. So I don't know what they're thinking here, But the Biden stories that are coming out now, I feel like this is all a part of the plan.
Happening today, Mike Donilon, former senior advisor to President Biden, is going to testify as part of the probe into the alleged cover-up of Biden's decline. This just one day after top Biden aide Steve Ricchetti reportedly told the panel that Biden was fully capable of being president even today. But a source adding, Mr. Ricchetti admitted that they all knew President Biden's age was an issue and were dealing with it as a political matter. But here's the real sentence. In preparation for the infamous debate, Steven Spielberg helped President Biden prepare for it. Michael LaRosa is a Democratic strategist and the former press secretary to Jill Biden. He joins me now. Mike, great to see you as always. I don't know, what did Steven Spielberg, a guy with a directing career who brings fiction to the big screen, really do to prepare Joe Biden for a debate, which quite frankly entails two guys standing there answering real life questions? I don't get it.
I don't either, but either Steven Spielberg failed to do a good job of producing his debate prep, or they did, because the president wasn't even looking into the camera and doing the things from a production standpoint he should have been doing to communicate with his audience. So it was a real failure in prep to sort of simulate what a debate would look and feel like for the president, because he was off in, a variety of ways.
So notice all of the energy that's coming out against Joe Biden this year, right? Like there's been two books, Jake Tapper, who tried to lie to viewers and let you know that Biden was fine and not experiencing cognitive decline, even though we could see with our own eyes there. He had the nerve of all people to write a book after he lied to the American people for 4 years about Biden's mental acuity. He came out with a book. Then there were 3 journalists who also released a book. And everyone's just so public about it now. When those of us in independent media were public about it during that time, we were called haters. We were called secret Trumpers, like all these different things, as if they didn't see the same things that we were seeing, right? So it almost feels like they're setting the stage for Kamala to run in 2028. If they can convince the American people that it's all Biden's fault, then maybe they'll feel sorry for Kamala and maybe she'll have more support this time around. But I don't think it's going to work. And now she has written a book. Kamala has a book. Of course, when people run for president, what do? They write a book afterwards. And now her book talks about her journey as a candidate. So don't be surprised if there's things in her book that also throw Joe Biden under the bus. It almost feels like all the stars are aligning to set her up for another presidential run. Check this out. Here comes the book.
And just into our newsroom, former Vice President Kamala Harris has announced she's got a new book titled 107 Days, about her very short, unsuccessful campaign for president.
Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book.
Harris took to social media this morning to urge people to read her new memoir, which comes out in September. Since she lost the election to Donald Trump in November, she's been thinking about her next move, and she's decided to skip the California governor's race. If she had entered that race, she would have had advantages like name recognition and national campaign donors. But in a statement, she says she wants to help elect Democrats across the country. She says she will reveal more details about her own plans in the coming months.
In writing this book, one truth kept coming back to me. Sometimes the fight takes a while, but I remain full of hope, and I remain clear-eyed. I will never stop fighting to make our country reflect the very best of its ideals.
So what exactly does that mean? Another run for president? Political observers say it's clear she's leaving that possibility open.
Leaving that possibility open. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to tell you this, but I really do feel like the Democratic Party is still trying to make President Kamala Harris a thing. And things didn't really work out the way I think Democrat leadership wanted it to work out. You know, I think what they wanted to happen was for Biden to serve, one term. During that one term, to resign so that she would become president, and then she would just, run for like a re-election as Biden would resign. That was, if I'm thinking like how Democrat leadership would think, I think that was like their plan. They said, well, the way we're going to get her in there is Biden isn't going to finish this full term. He's going to resign and pass the baton to her. And that's how you would get the first female president. And the Democratic Party would love that because they could just say, oh, look, the first, and they would go with this, the first Black female, president, da 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 da. And the first female president was a Black woman. And man, they would just run with it. And then they would never have to deliver on anything for working people because they gave you that. But that plan didn't work out. So I feel like they're still trying to like make this a thing. And to me, I'm just kind of like, isn't it obvious? So people are saying, yay, I'm glad that she's not running for governor of California anymore. But I think she's setting her eyes on a bigger prize, and that is running for president once again. And if she loses again, and which I think she will, if she loses again, I don't know what to tell you guys after that one. I don't know what to tell you. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.